So it turns out that I don't post in a year and a pandemic strikes. What a weird world that we live in. So yeah, being in the middle of a pandemic is definitely an interesting time for me, especially given the fact that at the moment, like, pretty much every government in the world is telling people to stay at home, which would be really nice if I actually had a home to stay in. But if you're a first-time viewer of this channel, then for starters, hi! But to briefly introduce myself for the people who don't know me, I'm someone who kind of hitchhikes and couch surfs my way around the world. And the fact that now all the borders and everything have now closed and travel is something that you just can't do, that's amazing for me. There's actually a really interesting thing that came to my mind when I saw that, like, the governments of, like, France and the UK and Italy all had, like, these government-enforced lockdowns that were saying, like, you know, you have to stay in your home, otherwise you could be, like, fined or arrested by police. My first thought was, like, how is this going to impact homeless people? Where are they supposed to go? Like, are they just going to get arrested for, like, not being at home because they don't have a home? Actually, I could see that coming from the UK. Also, a lot of countries have now closed their borders, so I guess wherever I happen to be right now, I'm kind of stuck here. I'll get into that one a little bit later, although it does kind of bring my mind to all the people who might actually be, like, stranded wherever they happen to be. I mean, some people might have been on, like, vacation or something, and then their own country just shut their borders. It's like, oh, how am I going to go home? Also, how am I going to stay here? Because all the hotels and all of the everything have now shut down, so, like, what do? I'm genuinely interested to hear from anyone who might have had that kind of thing happen to them. This is also going to knock the hell out of any income that I was going to make over this year, because I do a lot of things selling at conventions, and now all of the events of more than 2-3 people have been closed down, so I guess I'm not selling anything anytime soon, so please commission me. Actually, somewhat amusingly, and my patrons would have already seen this, but I was preparing a video for a commission that I'd previously done. I actually shipped that commission quite a few weeks ago, but rather frustratingly, I checked the tracking number and it seems to be stuck in transit. So that's just perfect! I can't even make commissions right now. But to be honest though, this probably couldn't have struck at a better time, because right now I'm in the Netherlands, and I'm actually staying with my girlfriend. I was initially staying at her parents' house, but we have now just moved into this place. That was only about 2 days ago though, so I did spend the majority of last month being told, stay at home, to which I'm like, I don't have a home to stay in. But to be honest, this whole situation couldn't have struck at a better time for me, because now I'm like with my girlfriend, we just managed to move in, and it's like, wow, I finally can actually stay home. That's weird for me. But as I mentioned earlier, I am actually in the Netherlands right now, more specifically Eindhoven, and I thought that since I've been looking a lot into what kind of measures other countries have been taking with this whole situation, I thought it would be a very interesting thing to share what's been going on over here. At the moment, there's no specific lockdown in place. It's not like you can get, like, arrested or fined for going outside or something, which, to be honest, is a little bit of a godsend, because if we were gonna have, like, all this trouble having to get paperwork or, like, you know, get fined for being outside while we're trying to actually get a place to stay inside, that could have honestly been a bit of a disaster, which is why I was thinking things like, I wonder what they're doing about, like, dealing with homeless people. But whilst over here there isn't really a strict lockdown, there is a lot of stuff being done. If you go outside to anywhere, you'll notice that everything is just completely empty. It's really eerie, actually. You start walking around the streets of Eindhoven and there's almost no one there. It gets even more eerie when you start going to places like Eindhoven Centraal. It's a pretty decently sized station, so it's really weird to see virtually no one in here. There's not even really many trains running.
Beste reizigers, vergeet niet 1,5 meter afstand te houden van elkaar, ook bij het in- en uitstappen van de trein.
The PSAs around the city are absolutely rampant. I really respect this, actually. They've managed to turn all the billboards that would usually hold, like, you know, advertisements for products and such into big PSAs being like, hey, keep your distance from each other, stay 1.5 meters apart, care for each other, thanks to all our police and care workers and all that kind of stuff. I actually really respect that. One of the ones that my girlfriend and I found particularly amusing was a billboard for a casino, basically being like, hey, we're closed because of Corona, which we both found really hilarious hilarious because someone paid for a sign to basically say, piss off, we're not going to take any customers right now. You'll also see that a lot of shops are now closed, especially places like restaurants. You're not going to be able to go there, but I did buy a toaster yesterday, so, you know, I can still get the essential shopping done. It's also interesting to see some of the changes that have been made to things like grocery shopping. You'll find now that whenever you go to any kind of grocery store, there'll be a lot of rules in place for how you're supposed to go about your grocery shopping. Things like, oh, you must use a shopping cart now, which I think is a good way of like keeping distance with each other, because you kind of like have this actual physical barrier between you and anyone in front of you. There's also like a lot of barriers and such between the cashier worker and the customer, so kind of minimizes the contact between the two. As for stock, I mean, I've seen a lot of photos from other places, most notably like the US and the UK, where people have just been like hoarding the hell out of everything in the stores. I haven't really experienced that much over here. I go inside and most of the aisles are pretty full. Yes, including the oh so precious toilet paper. At one point while grocery shopping about 2 weeks ago, I did see a sign next to the toilet paper being like, hey customer, due to stuff like you could only get 2 toilet papers per customer, so please don't hoard it. We're stocked like every day. There was still a full shelf of toilet paper, so it's not like there was anything like, they weren't going missing. But that was only there for like a few days. By the time that I went back to record the clip for this video, like that sign wasn't there. Admittedly, the only thing that I did see a shortage of was soap, which actually makes sense as opposed to the toilet paper. I never understood why people were hoarding toilet paper, but the soap I actually get, because washing your hands is a pretty important thing for the whole corona thing. And there was that same sign by the soap being like, hey, you can only get 1 of these per customer, so. But yeah, that's pretty much how the whole pandemic situation has been affecting me and the place that I live right now. I'd be really curious to know how it's affecting other people and like how their life is being changed right now. It's not the worst that it could be over here, and I'm honestly quite grateful for that. I'll be posting some videos of some of the stuff that I've been doing in the meantime, because I guess I've got nothing better to do while I'm in quarantine, so I guess if you're interested in seeing any of that, then you can subscribe and see more. Bye! It genuinely feels like some kind of apocalypse right now. Because it's like, no one exists anymore. 32 hours. Well, it is open, which is... I tell you what, that's probably the more interesting thing. Seeing the places that still have remained open despite everything. Like, I've never even heard of Open 32, but H&M, that's not open. In fact, almost everything in here is closed, except that, which is like, huh. Well, you got a little bit of activity
in a way
here.
that it resembles a radio, like an old-timey one. Like the clock over there on the left, that's the dial. The tower over there is like the antenna. Yeah, it's built to make it look like